Here are some real stock chart examples of Fibonacci tools applied in combination. This first case study begins with price rebounding back to historic highs, where it naturally retraces and stalls, but eventually breaks higher in spectacular fashion. In such a scenario, one of the first Fibonacci tools up for consideration would be the trend-based Fibonacci extension, which would be based from the low of the large bull hammer candle that started the current uptrend, with point 2 and 3 then being placed on that first downswing that immediately formed upon contact with resistance at historic highs. As bullish momentum pushes price much higher, it encounters more significant resistance in the mid-30s at the 1 Fibonacci level, nearing the purple zone. And that is an extension roughly the same distance as the trend portion we based this trend-based Fibonacci extension on. However, if we move points 2 and 3 to the next downswing, where resistance reverses roles to become crucial support, it's still a similar idea with different numbers and levels. But the important thing is that there are signs of overextension when price moves 3 or more fib levels within those first 5 fib levels that make up the 0 to 1 range of the trend-based fib extension. In this kind of situation where price continues strongly past a historic range, and there's a clear role reversal of that range from resistance to support, we can use the Fibonacci arc tool with the full circle option checked. Then place it on 2 upswings or 2 downswings in that continuation area to form a trend line with its 2 points. Draw it backwards in such a way that the center of the arcs/circles is on price 1, and price 2 is on the first swing point, further back in time and earlier in the trend. Doing this will often get Fibonacci arcs circling to some notable swing points, like the recent downswing, where it will often intersect with horizontal fib levels. These kinds of movements can commonly, but do not necessarily always form on the 1 or 1.618 arcs in the familiar gray and purple areas. And remember, since this is a tool with a curvature, lock scales to avoid the possibility of any distortions from moving the chart or changing the zoom. For more on Fibonacci arcs, circles, trend-based extensions, and other tools that will appear in this video, please check out detailed guides on them with the link in the description and pinned comment. On to the second example, which will showcase a common situation with a relatively simple setup where there's an established trend, in this case a downtrend, which has accelerated with a gap down. After this, be on the lookout for a swing point, in this case an upswing point. It will be the second point used for a Fibonacci retracement. And the first swing point will be a swing point before the gap, in this case the downswing before the gap. This quickly and easily identifies areas and proportions of interest around this gap down event in a bearish context. Then, even with very little development of price action after the gap down, we can place a Fibonacci time zone based on the duration of this segment of the downtrend that the Fibonacci retracement is based on. And this will highlight times when key developments are more likely to happen when price is trading near the time of the following time zone lines. Especially when price is near an intersection of Fibonacci retracement levels and time zone lines, particularly at notable areas like the gap fill in this case, where resistance does emerge to be stronger at that particular price and time range. But of course, not every single event will be covered. There are continuations and swing points that form where there are no time zone lines. And this is normal, not everything can be covered. Though usually the intersections between these horizontal and vertical levels or lines will be closer to significant areas based on the context. In this case, the bullish and bearish areas following a gap down during an established long-term downtrend. Here's a similar situation, except the downtrend is much steeper. And when the drop does slow after the gap down, there is a well-defined double bottom reversal forming. Placing a Fibonacci time zone on the first upswing of this range, which also happens to be the first upswing after the gap down, does quite closely approximate levels at important areas, especially where the double bottom reversal completes. However, when we use this choice of placing a Fibonacci retracement on the entire length of the downtrend, the proportions are obviously much larger. so there will be more space between the levels. Nonetheless, the areas where retracement levels and time zone lines intersect tend to mark key events during the gap fill. Resistance does indeed emerge quickly and strongly, but as price presses higher consistently, and as we lower the first point of the Fibonacci retracement to more recent down swings before the gap down, we see how the narrower proportions highlight the price ranges better and detail developments during the gap better. But they are still generally far apart due to the steepness of the downtrend. And just like before, not every key event will be covered by intersection areas, especially some of the past sharp downswings, but they are still generally covered by retracement levels alone. On the next chart, there's another long-term uptrend that reverses sharply. Even though the drop is slowing down, it is still leaning bearish. So we can focus on this last part of the uptrend, where it was relatively steep in comparison to the previous range-bound trading. The Fib retracement starts on a past upswing point that is close to where price is trading down on what is now crucial support. Then it goes up to the peak for the second point, and as the bearish acceleration gets underway, price plummets past this retracement range towards the famous 1.618 extension level. Here's a nearly perfect example where price does make that proportional move as it does begin to change course to a more bullish to neutral posture. It's not picture perfect with direct contact on the 1.618 level, but it's very close, and this imperfect situation can be expected in the real world as opposed to precise textbook-like diagram examples. We can also add less common extension levels in between for more detail. Next, we can place a trend-based Fibonacci time tool on the length of the entire downtrend, from the peak to that first upswing point, just above the 1.618 extension level, with points 2 and 3 covering the length of that first upswing. This helps identify when some events of interest could happen during this more range-bound movement. And price does end up forming more bearish movement close to these time zone lines. Though, just like the regular Fibonacci time zone, not everything will be covered, most notably the upswing points in this case. Again, if you want to learn more about the trend-based Fibonacci time tool, you can watch the detailed tutorial about it linked in the description and pin comment. But a key point to note here is that we chose this trend to base it on because it is of a moderate size. If we try to go back a few swing points to cover a smaller segment, a shorter duration in time, it can still work to a degree, but it becomes a little cluttered with smaller intervals between the lines. And this can become a situation where the tool becomes unusable the further back you go, when a smaller time duration is covered. Here's another example using the same tools, but the situation is slightly different. It's a long-term uptrend where we do get a bullish acceleration, and we can use that segment for a much more moderate trend-based Fib interval, and it produces very good results. Just going from that trend down onto the first downswing. Lots of key events with swing points and continuations happening close to or even exactly on these time zone lines. We can add a Fibonacci retracement for horizontal levels, using that same bullish segment of the larger uptrend for more detail. And it's quite good at covering that recent gaps range. So just like most cases, this pair of tools becomes less useful after price moves outside their main context, in this case from the 0 to 1 lines. So we can adjust with the times and base a Fibonacci retracement on this recent range, covering the full price range of that more moderate correction. This produces retracement levels running through similar areas to detail the gap and swing points before and after it. And the first 3 extension levels can also apply once price moves past that 0 to 1 range as the longer-term uptrend proceeds higher. Unfortunately, in this case, the trend-based Fibonacci time tool isn't that useful, if at all. It really relates back to what we were talking about with basing it on a moderate trend, a moderate duration in time, so that proportions aren't too narrow or wide. That means it's time to consider using the more flexible Fibonacci time zone tool. And it is highly adaptable to the way price develops, just based on these first swing points during the moderate correction to the longer-term uptrend. It's useful in highlighting the times of many important events, before and even after the gap appears, and when we base it on swing points around the gap. It is also very useful, especially in the short-term context, in highlighting the times of swing points and continuation areas. Though when price presses to new highs, this is still the case but to a lesser degree. And that's partly because of the more volatile and rapid fluctuations that are quite normal during a move like this, when price is reaching more uncharted territory. Nonetheless, the time zone lines still do cover some areas where events of interest could occur. But realistically, not everything will be covered. And that's why you watch these videos, right? You want to see how these tools fare in real-world conditions, not some picture-perfect diagram examples. Again, check out the link in the pinned comment and description to learn more about all these Fibonacci tools in greater detail.